Hey there, and a very warm welcome to this explainer on respiratory wellness. I am so thrilled to have you joining us today. As an instructor and representative of Pratimoksha, Dubai's premier yoga studio, I literally see people walk through our doors every single day carrying the hidden weight of the city on their shoulders, and honestly, more importantly, in their lungs. So today, we're going to explore exactly how we approach respiratory health right here at our Haute Metha studio. We're going to look at the very unique challenges of living in this incredible fast-paced city and how the ancient, targeted practices of pranayama can completely transform your baseline of health. Okay, let's dive right into this.
Let me ask you something, and I'd love for you to take a real, honest pause for a second here. When was the absolute last time you actively noticed your breath? And I don't mean just when you were totally out of breath from, sprinting for the metro. I mean, truly notice the mechanics of how air enters and leaves your body. Because breathing's automatic, right? It's incredibly easy to just assume that it's happening correctly. But in our experience at Pratimoksha, we find that it almost never is. Most people don't give their breathing a second thought until something goes wrong. Maybe it's a tight chest after a dusty afternoon, or that sort of inexplicable fatigue that literally no amount of sleep seems to fix. We so often mistake those things as isolated issues, when in reality, they're crystal clear signals from your respiratory system.
And that brings us right to our first major focus, Section 1, breathing in Dubai's climate and the unseen strain it places on us. We are literally facing a unique dual threat every single day here in Dubai. Just think about it. Outside, we are battling extreme summer heat, where simply walking to your car feels like this intense cardiovascular workout, along with dust and those occasional sandstorms that just wreak havoc on the airways. So naturally, what do? We retreat indoors. But inside, we're hit with this heavy, dry, recycled air conditioning, and that actually reduces the natural filtration capacity of our nasal passages. Pair that with the sedentary stress of our fast-moving professional culture, and it creates this perfect storm. Your respiratory system is under massive strain from multiple directions all at once.
Now, to put a little bit of hard data behind what we actually see in the studio, let's look back at the year 2021. There was a major study published in Environmental Research that year, and it confirmed something we monitor very closely. It's found that exposure to fine particulate matter, which as you know is super common in desert climates and urban environments like ours, is directly associated with reduced lung function over time. And here's the real kicker. This happens even in otherwise totally healthy individuals. So the question for us living in Dubai isn't whether this environment affects us, because it absolutely does. The real question is, what are we proactively going to do about it?
Which perfectly transitions us into our next section, the shallow breathing trap, where adaptation actually becomes a limitation.
You see, as your body tries to cope with all this environmental and chronic stress, it adapts. Unfortunately, it often maladapts. The symptoms we observe in the vast majority of adults who begin their journey with us are pretty telling. We see breathing that is predominantly driven by the upper chest. We see a lot of shallow, rapid, mouth-based breaths. People are basically using only a tiny, tiny fraction of their actual lung capacity. And research from the Journal of Clinical Medicine completely backs this up, showing these dysfunctional patterns are highly prevalent in chronically stressed individuals. This shallow breathing traps your nervous system in a low-grade state of constant alertness. It kills your oxygen efficiency and over time literally weakens the physical muscles required for full, healthy breathing. And this just brilliantly illustrates why our foundational philosophy at Pratimoksha is so absolutely crucial. Our founder, Lalitha Viswanath, who brings over 19 years of deep teaching experience to our studio, says it best. She always reminds us, pranayama is not a supplement to yoga practice, it is its backbone. We absolutely do not view breathwork as some optional add-on to your physical postures. No way. It is the ultimate, foundational solution to the environmental and stress-based strains we were just talking about.
This sets us up perfectly for our next topic, pranayama, the vital force. And as we'll see, it goes way beyond just simple breathing exercises.
We get this a lot. We frequently hear new students come in and call pranayama breathing exercises. But honestly, it is so much more than that. It is the disciplined regulation of prana. Now, in classical yogic philosophy, prana is the vital energy. It's the animating force behind all physiological function in your body. In practical, everyday terms for us in the studio, pranayama involves precise, disciplined techniques for controlling the rhythm, the depth, the direction, and the retention of your breath.
And the results of this discipline, well, they aren't just nice metaphors, they are highly, highly measurable. Just look at the clinical benefits highlighted in a review from Frontiers in Human Neuroscience. A regular pranayama practice leads directly to improved lung capacity, a naturally reduced respiratory rate, and, this is huge, enhanced parasympathetic nervous system activity. That is your body's rest and digest mode. These outcomes, they're not happy accidents. They are the direct, scientifically grounded result of the trained, deliberate breathing that we practice.
So you're probably wondering, how exactly do we achieve this? Let's take a look at Pratimoksha's core breathing techniques, a targeted approach.
As we always teach at Pratimoksha, the power is really in the precision. We utilize very specific yoga therapy techniques to combat Dubai's respiratory challenges. First step is diaphragmatic breathing. This is foundational. It restores the natural mechanics of the breath, pulling air deep into the lower lungs and immediately activating that calming parasympathetic response. Next, we have Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. This is absolutely fantastic for balancing airflow and reducing bronchial resistance, which, by the way, is a total lifesaver for our clients managing seasonal allergies and that indoor AC dryness. And finally, Kapalabhati and Bhastrika. These are dynamic techniques that actually strengthen the respiratory musculature, clear out the nasal passages, and massively improve gas exchange in the lungs.
But just knowing about these techniques isn't enough. It's how you learn them. That brings us to the progressive studio approach, guided mastery over time. Because let me tell you, this progressive structure is literally everything. Step 1 is foundational awareness. We never ever just throw you into advanced breathing. We start by helping you simply observe your existing, often flawed, breath patterns. Step 2 is sequential techniques. We only introduce new practices when you've truly built the capacity from the previous one. And step 3 is compounding mastery. Actually, it's worth noting here, if practiced incorrectly or rushed, breathwork can have adverse effects on your nervous system. That's exactly why our supervised step-by-step framework is so vital. It allows the respiratory changes to compound meaningfully and, most importantly, safely over months and years. So the really crucial point is captured beautifully right here. The breath is the one physiological function at the intersection of the voluntary and involuntary nervous systems. That is just so incredibly profound. Think about it. You can't easily will your heart to beat slower, right? Or tell your digestion to speed up. But your breath, you can control it voluntarily. And by doing so, you can literally hack into your involuntary nervous system. It is the single most powerful lever you have available for changing your body's baseline state of stress and health. And this is exactly why we design fully personalized individual programs for our clients, taking your specific history, your stress patterns, and your lifestyle into account from day one. Which brings us to our final thought for today. Respiratory health rarely feels urgent until it becomes a real problem. And by then, well, the bad patterns have been locked in for years. If you live here in Dubai and you've noticed that persistent fatigue, a chest that rarely feels open, or a breath that just never quite goes deep enough, you have the power to change it. The lungs are waiting. Are you ready to breathe with intention? Just consider this. You take over 20,000 breaths every single day. Imagine what could change if even a fraction of those were done with purpose. I warmly invite you to reach out, visit our Oud Method Studio for a trial session, and experience genuine, expertly guided respiratory care firsthand. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Stay mindful, stay healthy, and please keep breathing with intention.